Ladies and gents, today we are gathered to bring you Papal Priest Propaganda, one of my favorite rare units, and I think probably one of the better rare units. I think there's a few other units that can rival the strength of this unit at this rarity. For example, I think Papal Guard might be one, maybe one of the other guards. But in general, this unit offers so much utility that I would kind of just suggest any sort of new players that do get a copy of this to slightly invest in this one. I could be wrong, but like even for some endgame content, these units are definitely usable. For example, the recent content we had was the Tower Adversity. Now, Tower Adversity is I think one of the stronger or like harder endgame contents in that like most people probably don't even get to the seventh floor, and people were like using Ice Priests to do some strategies in order to pass that. Right, like this is one of those units that while isn't SSR, isn't legendary, isn't epic, it can definitely be used for like epic or like legendary content, right? Like this unit is still has some uniqueness about it. You just don't get any like other SSR units, right? It's not even replicated in the SSR tiers. And so that's why I want to talk about it. I think this is like one of those units that you definitely want to invest in, and there's a lot of reasons to talk about that, and we're gonna talk about it today. So first things first, you also noticed I did rank 13 Papal Ice Priest. It's one of my favorite rare units. So I had to. I didn't go any further, but I'm like low key also just hoping that one day we will get a maybe a rank 13 special for some of our lesser used rarity units. I don't know. That's probably a pipe dream, but like I'm thinking about it one day. Okay, so let's talk about the trait, the Papal Ice Priest trait. And I think honestly, this is like one of the stronger traits for these, and I think they're all like somewhat strong in their own end. Like at least for a supportive unit, this is probably one of the better traits to have. So Ice of Sanctuary increases magic attack by 15%. Okay, so whatever. And in turn, the big part is it grants physical defense up to 2 random allies and 2 tiles of the character, lasting for 2 turns. So this is a little weaker when you get it at like the first couple stars. For example, I think star 1, star 2, it's only physical defense up 1. I think it's fine. Like you're still spreading this across like 2 random allies, and especially if you're using this unit early game. I think the fact that you're just increasing defense in general, because I think it's somewhat a solo player slash single player mode exclusive sort of damage type, and that like it's very prominent. It's gonna go a long way. Like increasing your defense by this much is gonna go a long way when you're doing single player. And so just increasing it just like kind of passively over the course of like the game is gonna be like really strong. It's not really, you're not gonna really notice it too much, but like it's gonna be like basically saving your butt here and there. Now the weird part is it is random, but like there are reasons why it probably should be random. For example, we're gonna talk about the first ability here, but we'll go into that. Um, if you are thinking about using Papal Ice Priest, just consider that this is definitely a unit that is more utility based. Now, if you want to do like I don't want to say weird, but like if you want to go like damage dealing nuki units that are rare, you can definitely go someone like Darklight Fire Priest. I think this is probably a stronger damage dealing unit. For example, if you're trying to nuke someone, Darklight Fire Priest can cause Scorch, and for like endgame content, if you're doing that, doing percentage damage via Scorch is just going to go further, right? This is doing a lot of damage here based on just being Scorch, right? A lot of the endgame content is going to have like high health, and so 10% is going to go a long way. I might even do more damage than the actual ability itself. On top of that, the abilities used from Darklight Fire Priest are going to have higher base damage. And even the passives are going to be more damage based. So just considering like all those are more like damage skewed, you should probably like lean off of Papal Ice Priest if you're thinking about that. Anyways, I digress slightly. Papal Ice Priest has some randomness in the trait, but I think that can be okay. I think that can be okay, and we'll go over it for a few reasons. And let's just firstly talk about the basic or the I guess innate ability that you get when you play Papal Ice Priest, which is Ice Cone. And I think there's a lot to be said about this ability that you just don't really think about too much. For example, let's just talk about the damage first of all. Now, I did say the Ice Priest doesn't do too much damage, but like if you really think about it, if you just think about the amount of damage you're spreading over the team, like Ice Cone is doing a significant amount of damage, right? Like it's not too uncommon where like a lot of units gather up and they group up, just like going head to head versus another like team. You're gonna see them like scrunch up together. They're like gonna be standing on each other basically. And the thing about standing on or near each other is that like damage is gonna be more condensed. People are gonna spread more like AoEs, do more AoEs. And so while it is targeting a location, the damage is going to be being dealt to like units around that location as well. So you're doing 80% times like and this is like Merry Christmas Land 5, right? So that's like 80 times 5. That's a lot of damage. That's more than 160% base damage, right? This is like 80% is like 40. Is that like, yeah, that's 400% magic damage. Not a math major, by the way. Yeah, fact check that for sure. But like, that's a lot of damage. Now, I will say the usual case is like you're probably hitting 1 or 2 units for the most part doing this. But like, even if you're hitting 2 units, you're getting a lot of money out of your ability over there, right? That's 160% magic damage. Not too shabby, right? And that's like only part of it. For example, there's also a good thing to note here is that Ice Cone selects a location. There's been so many times where I'm like, I just need to target this untargetable unit, right? They might be like shrouded or something. They might have like stealth, something like that. And you just can't target them single target attacks. The thing about Ice Cone is it targets a location. And so if you really want to sort of bury them in ice, is you can just like put the location of the Ice Cone like around them or near them such that like one of the sides does target them. I don't remember exactly if you can target the actual tile that they're on, but like you can actually just target a tile around them and it still deals damage. And on top of that, like the Ice Cone also slows units that are walking around or near the ice that you spawn from Ice Cone. And so while this connects to the trait, is that this actually like gives you time to trigger your physical defense up to the random allies around you. And that's like quite big, especially for someone who really likes to stall games out personally. Well, I think like nuking units is like fun and all. Like being able to do like jumbo amounts of damage, like 200% damage, like Nungle is one-shotting you type of damage is like really cool. Most of my fun is definitely derived from like having like those longer stalled out games. I think it could be definitely more interesting, and then just like thinking about actually the sort of things the enemy units are doing is at least more interesting for me. This definitely does help stall the game because units are moving slower. They can't get to you as fast. You can set up more for like your end game or late skewed game damage dealers. This helps you get there, right? For example, I play so much Devil. Like I am a known Devil Tarot propagandist as well. I think literally most of my units, most of my damage dealers are just running Devil. It's just, I just like to take my time to get those Devil stacks up, alright? So you'll notice like, yeah, Homa, like Akambe, Nungle, Tristan, like all these units are wearing Devil. I am a big Devil fan. And so being able to sort of like easily get to late game and proc him Devil is like probably one of my bigger goals. And so you can see where I'm biased here. And like I think Papal Ice Priest is like one of those units that allow for that. And honestly, I would run Devil and Papal Ice Priest if I could. But like yeah. So this is where I'm at when my head is at when I'm running like this sort of unit. Is like you can definitely slow the game down. And I guess that goes without saying, right? His name is literally Papal Ice Priest. But yeah, so you can like slow the game down, slow the battlefield down, and it helps you definitely get those physical defense boosts up. And the cool thing about this is that like you're kind of like protecting your tanks and your damage dealers with this, and that like this is like random, right? It's not like an ability you have to like cast, right? This is just happening every turn, just like on a whim's notice. So like this is like super cool, and like making sure those games are prolonged. There's a lot of utility here. There's a lot of like defense happening here. It's really nice. That's just like talking about Ice Cone. There's a lot more in the abilities here, but I'm just gonna talk about I think for the most part my build here, and maybe some like the honorable mentions for abilities. Yeah, this is pretty sweet. On top of Ice Cone being as an awesome skill as it is that there's not too much overlap in this ability and the other abilities. One of my concerns a lot of times is like I don't want to have the same ability twice, so they've got to function a little bit different, right? And so we have the difference between like Ice Cone is that it doesn't really proc speed down and move down like the other skills have. On top of that, Ice Cone is also kind of specific in that it doesn't need to impede some of your damage dealer's movement. There's been so many times where I've been playing like my Aphra with Ice Field of Calamity, and like me trying to get to the other units, and like Aphra is literally just like stopping all units from moving because she's put the ice field down. I'm just like, I wish I shouldn't have done this, but also the trade-off is like my units are still alive because Afro was able to slow down the whole enemy team, right? That was the trade-off, and like you kind of don't get that issue as much really with Ice Cone because the expansion of the ice is only within like the 5 tiles that you selected, and so like yeah, you don't have to really worry about too much of like destroying the battlefield or like impairing your movement too much because it's kind of like directed in a particular area. That can also be said of like some of the other abilities, and like that you can definitely go like crazy with the ice for sure. And that's like kind of cool with Ice Priest, and that like he can just like basically freeze everything if he needs to. You don't have to go there out. Like I wouldn't feel too sad if I had like Papal Ice Priest and like Flavi on the same team. Like it would be okay. Or like Miguel and like Papal Ice Priest, or like Luvada and Papal Ice Priest. I think like the fact that you can definitely direct the iciness in a particular way is like kind of helpful here, and something definitely not to be scoffed at. And the fact that it's 2 mana is probably like also the reason why it's not like spreading ice everywhere. It's pretty nice here, and it is also important to consider is I don't think Papal Ice Priest has a way to directly stop the impairment of the ice for even itself. You can run something like Origin Hourglass to make it a little better. But yeah, it's I think a lot happens with this ability that I do like a lot. One thing also to consider is the range is also somewhat hidden here, right? So Ice Cone does have a range of 1 to 3, and the thing you don't really consider is the fact that that's the target location range. You can actually target, you can probably get like the extra 4th range by thinking about the fact that you can hit with the tip of the Ice Cone, and so it even strikes a little bit further than you think about. So I think there's a lot to be said about this ability, and the way that it plays. There's a lot to think about here. But I really do enjoy it. I really do enjoy it. The fact that it's also only 2 energy. It's like, what more can you ask for? There's this ability gives you so much, and of course this is like me just like I don't know, holding so much water up for this ability. It's probably not like the best ability ever, but like I do like the fact that there's so much to think about when it comes to having Ice Cone. All right, and we're not even through all the abilities, but I assure you I won't try to rehash the same thing over and over with all the abilities. But let's just talk about other stuff here. Okay, one of the other abilities that I do have on Papal Ice Priest is Ice Shock. I think this is also a quite strong ability. It definitely does give him more of a sniper kind of feel, and that you're sort of getting a huge range of debuffs, and you're definitely sort of directing enemy units, especially like CPU units or like AI units. They hate walking on ice. They will literally bend over backwards just to not walk on ice. So this is like a nice way to sort of split the enemy units around, and maybe I'll have like a video or something about this, but like yeah, units hate walking on ice. So the fact that this sort of splits up units like are super nice in my opinion. But you're also like lowering the speed and move down without like putting yourself in danger. And so like if you're looking at units that are kind of spooky to you, and I'm thinking of like Seekers or like even like Watchers. Wait, is Papal Ice? Okay, Papal Ice is a Watcher, so you don't have to worry about that. But like units that are like running you down or like are trying to instantly like rush you down before you can do anything, it's super nice to have Ice Priests lower their speed down and move down. And it also does help the fact that Ice Priest has one of the higher speeds in the game. I think there's only a few units that does have higher speeds. I think he even goes. I think he actually is faster than Afra, right? Like I don't know if anyone ever sees Afra, but like Afra is literally the first one ever got Afra or like Kvare. They're so fast. Like I don't know if there's that many units faster than them. Okay, 272. Okay, so they're like slightly faster than Ice Priest, but like yeah, Ice Priest is so fast. Okay, Afra might be like 1 more. Okay, she's like 3 more compared to Kvare. But yeah, Ice Priest is like rivaling these like SSR units for like their money. Such a fast unit. But like if you get units that are trying to like run you down, the fact that you can just like launch a Ice Shock in response to them is gonna be so good. Like it's lowering their speed, so the next time that you do go for an attack or something, you're probably going first before them. You're lowering them. You're sort of like slightly like nickel and diming them. So like when you do have like a nuker that can handle them just like full speed, it's gonna be able to like completely one shot them hopefully. Just because like you've done just a little bit, you're nickel and diming them just enough such that like their health is like low, or like maybe you're like removing the shield off them with the damage or something like that. So also removing the movement down is gonna be good. It also helps you get those that trait physical defense up on your units because they're so slow and they can't move. So also nice to spill. I do hate the fact that this does cost 3 energy. This is quite a bit, and this is probably why you notice that I do run something like Force of Fortune on this. I do run stuff like the Wand and Cup Engraved Resonance, such that like I can spam this effect if I need to. Yeah, there's I think definitely a strong ability, but I do think this is definitely a flex spot. I don't think you need this. At least I think this is one of those abilities that can be easily removed, and you wouldn't really mind or notice it being removed. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, other than that, I do think it's like definitely a ability I do see myself using quite a bit if I do have the chance to use my energy. I would say it's maybe even a slight level up compared to Ice Cone and the way that it functions, and that like it can kind of cover the same amount of squares as Ice Cone when it comes to like freezing tiles, when it comes to dealing damage. It's very similar. The only difference is that it does apply the sort of those debuffs in that sense over a single line. On top of that, also applying like speed down 1 and move down 1. And the fact that it applies move down 1 isn't even considering the fact that like Ice Tiles in itself already is lowering the speed of these units, or the movement of these units. So this is like, you kind of eyeball it as like move down 2 in a sense. Also like literally like knuckle dragging through the ice trying to get to you. Probably doesn't happen most of the time, but like, yeah, units aren't gonna like, yeah, the units are super soft. They're literally frozen at this point in time. So this is like a really cool effect to have. Yeah, when you get it down like I think the ice lasts for 2 turns. Yeah, super strong, super strong, and consecutively doing this like super great. Generally, you probably want to apply this over as many units as possible. The fact that it has like this range, like 5 range, is like insane. Like you're hitting everyone in their back line, which is like super nice. This does also allow you to follow up with your own Seekers that are trying to get to the back line really nicely, because if you do hit them in this line, your Seekers aren't going to be impaired by the movement that you have. Like the whole issue I have with Afra is that she literally stops everyone that doesn't have any sort of movement impaired immunity. So this being super central to like one specific line is like so helpful. It's so good. Trust me on this. It's such a good ability. But yeah, let's get to the next one. Next ability is Ice Blast. So I am a big fan of thinking this unit is definitely more of a utility / backline supportive unit. And Ice Blast, in my opinion, helps with not only lowering the speed and movement of units around you in a defensive way, it also pushes units back. I think the pushing units back is also super strong in this ability, because it does help unlock some of the content for the endgame content that I was referring to in the beginning of this video. For example, once you do freeze all these tiles, if you actually knock them around while they're on the frozen tiles, they actually go the entire extent of the frozen tiles range. And so what we can do with that is basically set up positions such that like you're basically knocking these units back more than 2 tiles. Like they can be knocked back or like 5 tiles. Like consider like having them have Icy Shock. You survive the attack if they're that close, and then like you just use the Icy Blast. They're literally like slip and sliding down the entirety of the tile. It's not only is it fun, seeing the setup is like so good. It's so fulfilling. The only issue here though is that it does require you to knock back. I say that because I feel like a lot of times you'll notice is like units are just like immune to knockback. It's kind of annoying, but like being immune to knockback means like you definitely lose a lot out of having this sort of knockback. I don't think the damage is like interesting or like acceptable otherwise, like by itself. Maybe you can consider the fact that it does lower the speed move down a little bit. If they're that close where you can use this, it does worry me a bit in regards to the safety of your Papal Ice Freeze. But like it's still pretty good, right? Like having the 2 range does mean like you're probably behind your defenders or tanky units, and so that you can probably like lower at least the speed of like the front line of the enemy. So it's like something to consider. But like there's not much else to say about this skill other than like there's a lot of utility here. There has also been times where like I'm doing endgame content and I want to at least just like go through, I think, there's one event that I always forget the name of, but basically you have to go through units such that like you can't use them again, but people will oftentimes use teams so that they slowly whittle down the I guess the stage. And like this is good because you can kind of whittle down the stage a lot because you can just knock units off the stage. Like knocking units off the stage here with this ability and going first is such a blessing here, right? This is like, I guess for the namesake, right? Like being able to knock units around here is so good. Yeah, such a good skill. And I will say though, like if you are seeing content where like you can't knock units around here, this might not be good, and you might be better relying on like the fact that you can generate icy tiles, because that like at least lowers the speed for them to get to your units, and you can sort of kite them in that sense afterwards. So something to definitely consider here is like these last two are, I think, are definitely more swappable than you might initially think, but I think they're still good in their own right. Like I think they're probably one of the upper top tier ability that you do run on the Ice Priest. Also considering that they do have like a cost to them, like these are like something to sneeze at. Like having a 3-turn cooldown is like somewhat considerable. The 2 energy is also like somewhat considerable, but also the 3 energy is also considerable, which is why like I run things like energy generation with the Terrak Whisper, and also having the engraving resonance to lower the refund the energy and cooldown and reset the cooldown of those stronger or more energy costing effects. So that's what I have on my current Papal Ice Priest. There's still lots to consider here though. One thing I will say for Papal Ice Priest, I haven't really considered too much, but I'm thinking of it now, is how to use, and this is like the Afra in me coming out. Like I love my Ice Field of Calamity on my Afra, is how to use Ice Age. This might be a bad skill to use, but I swear I love using like these abilities that just have some sort of impact on the entirety of the battlefield. I love them. I love them. So like, and it's still worth considering, like, yeah, this will impair the movement of your units as well. It's just like the ability to impact the whole field, as in my opinion, just there's a lot to consider here. But like, yeah, Ice Age, how do you use Ice Age? What I'm thinking about it now is that the fact that you can use Ice Age and it does impact only the units around you, that's the hard part, right? Like if you want to use it as an offensive skill, it seems a lot harder than using it as defensively, where like you're already surrounded by a bunch of units. And so I've been thinking is the fact that like you can actually couple Ice Age, this skill, with something like the Icy Blast, right? If they're that close and you're sort of kiting back with the Ice Age, if you couple that with the Icy Blast, you're actually just like launching them significantly away from you. Like they're not going to be able to target you for like the time being. Like give them an extra like 3 turns and like a like a phone call later, then they'll be able to catch up to you. Yeah, it's such a good combo, having like, I guess, Ice Age with the Icy Blast. It's a good pick. But yeah, you can see I have spent some amount of Castalia on these, because like I like this unit. I think it's like a pretty strong rare unit. So yeah, do consider that. Okay, so we have a few other things to talk about, which is the reaction. In my opinion, you're probably better going off with the defense physical, just because if you're being attacked constantly with the Ice Priest, you're probably not in the best position. But I can't think about like if you're using abilities, and this is probably gonna be in the future, if you're using abilities like Ice Age to go offensively, like you're running basically Ice Priest down as like a tank, like he's going front, like head in, like he's like charging in after like a Coco, and like people are gonna start beating him up. The damage reduction could be better, but like that's probably not like the common case or way you're playing Ice Priest. And so if you think about it, like probably like the snipers or like long range damage dealers are the ones that are targeting Ice Priest, this is probably better, all right? But like I haven't given myself the idea that like I want to waste Castalia on the defense physical, so we're gonna hold off on that. Maybe next time we'll give me some time, and we'll maybe put some Castalia in the defense physical for Ice Priest. But like, yeah, I guess like if you're very greedy, which I guess I am, like you know me, I'm the devil user. I'm the devil terra. For some reason I keep on saying devil fruit. I'm the devil terra user, so I will go kicking and screaming trying to get my value out of my skills. And so like at the end of the day, if you're really trying to like defend as much as you can, this is the skill for that. And so that's why I guess I picked the hardening. Okay, we also have some other things happening here. We also have this aura. It's also interesting to say because like if you think about it, like I guess the Ice Priest's trait is kind of an aura, right? It's an ability that happens every turn randomly around you that sort of is, it's like emanating from the Ice Priest. But you also have this other aura, the field aura. I think it's like quite strong. I think I talked about this sort of kind of effect once before. I think I talked about it in my my video about top tarot cards, and how the fact that like having AoE damage reduction actually is quite strong when it comes to like boss content. And this is exactly that. This is giving you AoE damage reduction, or yeah, damage decreases by 25% for units around 3 tiles around the character. Oh, that's so strong. So like when it comes to like taking or handling boss content, like this could be significantly strong, right? Like not only is he giving you defense increase, not only is this unit giving you AoE damage reduction around units around them, it's also like, I mean that's the thing, right? It's giving you all that. So I was gonna say something else, but like yeah, you probably don't want to play Ice Priest for damage, but like the utility. So yeah, having this is like super strong. Also, it doesn't tax the energy. You have to worry about like casting this every turn. It's just sort of happening nicely. So it's a great skill in my opinion. Something definitely to consider if depending on the content you're going against. Okay, we have a few other skills I would like to talk about. Have defense boost. I'm not the biggest fan of defense boost, and here's why. I think there's also a lot of overlap with defense boost and the trait, and so just giving defense attribute debuffs immunity isn't the strongest. I do like the fact though that it does cover multiple units. There might be something to consider with that because maybe you're just not in range to just like, I don't know, or you want to like specifically target one unit to give defense to, right? Defense 2/2/2. This could be that, right? You just give it to your whole team. That might be like a sign that like maybe you're not kiting enough with the Ice Priest, that you're not like taking your time to ensure like the defense up is being amply spread across your team. This could be for that reason. But I feel like then you're sort of missing out. If you're playing this, you're sort of missing out on the fact that like you're getting it for free from your trait. So like your trait isn't even being used completely. And if your trait's not used completely, you're not using Ice Priest really for his magic attack. So like it kind of like sort of undermines the trait in my opinion. But like there might be something said about having the defense attribute debuff immunity there. So do consider that. The other thing to note is Ice Lance. I think this could have some application if you're running Ice Priest with something like a Focus Wand. Having the extra range to also reduce the speed and movement to a unit could be strong. It does hurt the fact that like this ability isn't the strongest ability in the game, and you're just sort of lowering one unit speed is like, I feel like it can go wasted for like what you can do with Ice Priest. So do consider that as well. But I think like the fact that it is one energy means if you are running just Ice Lance spam, you don't have to worry about like running all these other energy generators. For example, you could probably run like Temptation of the Devil, right? Like that's probably a good usage of like Temptation of Devil in that case, where like you just want to do single target damage, but also like be able to kite. Then you run like Devil with this, right? Because you don't need the energy generation. But you also probably like want to get rid of something like maybe not Resonance and the Engrave Resonance, where you have the reduction of energy cooldown, because like you could just like couple that with a spam from like Ice Shock. Like that could be a thing. But the fact is though that you could run this for like Focus On and have like more range on Ice Priest. And then he has like 3 range on a single target, sort of low-key nuke, right? It's not like the nukiest ability, but like doing 130% damage, like the strongest that Ice Priest is doing on a single target. So like that's something we said, right? So yeah, there's a lot of cool, neat stuff you can do here. That's like just like super utility based. So that's what I have for Ice Priest. There's not much else to say here other than like kind of exploring what you want to do with Ice Priest. For example, with the weapons, something that I've considered is like if you're not going single target with the Ice Lance, you could go something like the Diffusing Prism, increases your damage. You're doing a bunch of AoE in this case, but like, you know, Ice Priest does a lot of AoE damage. So like he's definitely like being able to proc this to its fullest extent, which is it's a high amount of damage, right? So do consider that. You also might want to consider Skeleton Staff. It might be helpful when you know like you're gonna have a bunch of allies dying. I don't know why you'd know that, like other than like you're running like a bunch of summon units like a Kambe or a Safia, like that could be the case for this. But like the energy increase could be helpful for sure. So yeah, do consider the Skeleton Staff. Otherwise, I would probably consider just those two. Maybe you could talk about a little bit by Starry Sky Heritage, which is like generally good, or Nightmare Puppet. I don't know if Nightmare Puppet only helps you add debuffs, so that could be helpful. It also increases your magic attack and HP, which also could be helpful, but like the other sort of abilities sort of go unrealized just because he doesn't really apply too many. Actually, no, I take that back. He actually does apply a decent amount of debuffs, right? With his, not his Ice Cone, but the Ice Shock and the Icy Blast, but those do require a considerable amount of energy, where like you definitely do want to lean more into the energy-based builds where like you can start spamming stuff. So that might be helpful. Right now, I do have Magic Ladle on Ice Priest. I don't know if I want to continue with that, but like I think it's nice to sort of help kite. Just something to consider. And of course, if you have the cornucopia staff, it's honestly a pretty good staff to have an ice priest, but of course it's something you have to do with the battle pass. And then for the trinkets, I have only a few trinkets to consider. Of course, you've got the oldies but goldies. You've got the Shield of Justice. You've got the Bloodluck Clay Amulet. These are always good. But then you also have things like Origin Hourglass. I think the Origin Hourglass is something cool to consider because that does mean you don't have to worry about impeding your own movement. So I think like Ice Age builds could be definitely a little stronger. So that's also good to consider. Other than that, I think something like Old Scrolls of August is strong. We're already adding a lot of buffs to our units. So like, I don't know, just being able to apply a little more buffs on your team is gonna be nice. You could go, because you play Ice Priest a little more offensively sometimes, you could run something like Cure of Spring. That way you can heal up for any sort of damages you might accumulate over the course of like being a little more aggressive. Other than that, I think that's the best of the trinkets. And then you have the tarot cards. So tarot cards, I think, also somewhat limited in what you probably want to run. I do run him a little more of like a support utility unit, so definitely have something like Curse of Fortune, because he does have a decent amount of magic attack. Being able to heal units around Ice Priest with the Tarot is like super nice. Also, the energy generation is nice. Everything else is kind of just like extra fluff. You could run Devil and literally everyone. So I'm not gonna say run Devil. You can run something like Dream of the Magician. This does help you apply. This does help you get more damage because like your abilities are hitting many units, and so this is like one of those I guess offensive build that you probably want to run with Papal Ice Priest if you do go that way. I've never run Vertical Justice on Ice Priest though, so I don't know if that's good. Probably not the best, just because he doesn't have too much crit otherwise. That's something to consider perhaps. But other than that, I think those are the only ones to consider. Maybe you can go Guidance of the World if you're doing a lot of standby. But that's also like, we're kind of like picking at the bottom of the barrel here. Like I think in general, you probably want something like Course of Fortune or Dream of the Magician for Ice Priest. But yeah, that's Ice Priest. Hope you all enjoyed the propaganda. We'll play a few games, but that might be in the background. I don't know if it'll be after this video, but let me know what y'all think about Ice Priest in the section below. Peace out, and I'll catch y'all later.
所を取りたいね。ありがとう。
なんでもってやめるなよ。
相手の作戦は
ありがとう。心得ました。指示を願います。
ありがとう。
共に戦おう。
ありがとう。
有利な場所を取りたいね。共に戦おう。
ありがとう。
なんでもって腹が減っては戦はできぬってね。
相手の作戦は
そこ。
ありがとう。私に続け。みんなも一緒に前へ。これがみんなの決断です。このまま行きます。指示を願います。ありがとう。有利な場所を取りたいね。
腹が減っては戦はできぬ。
感謝します。
なんでもって
相手の作戦はお疲れ様。
ありがとう。
ありがとう。私に続け。この指示を願います。ありがとう。
腹が減っては戦はできぬ。
感謝します。
ってね。腹が減っては戦はできぬ。
感謝します
ってね。
有利な場所を取りたいね。させないよ。
なんでもってあ
相手の作戦はお疲れ様。
感謝します。ありがとう。指示を願います。共に戦おう。
ありがとう。
許しはない。
ありがとう。
私に続け。はっ。有利な場所を取りたいね。指示を願います。
なんでもってご飯だよ。
ありがとう。相手の作戦は
ありがとう。私に続け。有利な場所を取りたいね。 ありがとう。信じています。指示を願います。共に戦おう。ありがとう。共に戦おう。ありがとう。有利な場所を取りたいね。ありがとう。
待って待って、ご飯だよ。
ありがとう。
相手の作戦は
ありがとう。
ありがとう。
有利な場所を取りたいね。当たれ。私に続け。立ち止まらないで。いなんだ。みんなも一緒に前へ。そこ。